Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kike and today I'm going to be spewing all of my thoughts about Malcolm and Marie. So Malcolm and Marie is a film written by Sam Levinson, I believe, that was dropped on Netflix on the 5th of February, which was 2 days ago. So yeah, your girl is on it like a car bonnet. So for anyone who hasn't watched Malcolm and Marie, basically what it is, it's a film that follows two people. So it's literally a two-man cast, Malcolm and Marie, and it explores a night and they're essentially an argument they have and it's interesting. So this is where I'm going to hop in to my, warning seat and let you guys know, if you haven't watched this film, this is your official spoiler alert. Obviously I'm going to be talking about what goes on in the film, so if you haven't watched, this would be a good time to click off, watch the film, and then head on back over. But cool. So what's really interesting for me is that I actually didn't watch the trailer for this film because Netflix has a very bad habit of every time they want to promote a film, they will show you the whole film in the trailer. And I was like, I'm not going to watch this film if I know what's going on. So I didn't watch the trailer. I just knew that it starred Zendaya and John Washington. Yeah, I was going to call him Josh. No, it's John Washington. And yeah, it was very interesting. I feel like this film for me, it just explored toxicity. Say it with me now, toxicity. There we go. Because it was mad. It was absolutely mad. Like from the first scene, what I got from Marie is that the babe was tired. As in, you could tell this man was working her last nerve. Like the way she was making the mac and cheese with I don't even know the word to use, but she was just like, what the flip is going on, baby? Like, it was just like her whole energy was just off. So obviously, if you've watched this film, you know that the main crux of their argument is the fact that in a film that Malcolm has written, he didn't shout out Marie, even though the film seems to be based on her life, her struggle of getting clean, because when she was 20, she was addicted to drugs. We know this. Cool. I feel like that first argument, a lot of things was jumping out at me. A lot of I just kept seeing flashing signs. Toxic. This is toxic. Because, okay, she's told you how she feels. She's like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's upset me. You didn't shout me at the awards. You're trying to say it's not about my life, but babes, it is about my life. I feel like the way Malcolm talks to Marie, my guy called her crazy, unstable, psychotic in the space of 5 minutes, and it honestly didn't stop. And that made me sick. I was like, how can you actually talk to somebody that you claim to love in this way? Language is very important, and I feel like Malcolm really didn't grasp that. But obviously this is just from the first argument. And then Malcolm himself, parts of it, I'm not gonna lie, parts of it made me laugh because I was like, this guy is funny. The way he's talking to her, this argument, funny, is like, that's the only word I could use for it. But it's like, my guy had a whole conversation with himself, and he does this continually throughout the film. He speaks to himself. He'll have a whole conversation with himself. Marie will just be there like, she lit a cigarette, she cut the cheese, she put the macaroni on the fire. The whole time this guy was having a whole ass conversation by himself. Honestly, I know this is a film, but there are people like this in real life. It is 2021, you need to stop that. Like, if after like 6 lines you haven't got a response, I feel like you need to find a way to feed the other person into the conversation. Because baby, having a conversation by yourself, no. Okay, no. What I will say about this film is that I don't think this film is for everybody, and I think from some of the reviews that I've read as well, like people say that like this is a film, it's a bit like Marmite, you'll either love it or you'll hate it. Obviously the film is in black and white, which normally isn't really my cup of tea, but I said, come on babe, it's 2021, it's time to up the level. You can't be judging a film based off the way it looks. And I must say, I'm so happy that I did that because the cinematography in this film, beautiful. Like, this sounds dumb, but I've never enjoyed a film in black and white, and I don't want to say I thoroughly enjoyed this film, but I felt like it didn't take away from the storyline. Like, it wasn't a factor that didn't make me want to watch it. So let's talk about the second argument that Marie and Malcolm had. Here's the thing, when I summarize these arguments, please, because these guys, the thing about Malcolm and Marie is they love to use very big words when you can honestly just simplify the sentence and get out what you want to say. And because they couldn't do that in the film, I'm going to help them to do it in my thoughts on this film because I don't have time. So yeah, essentially what they was arguing about is she was like, you're never jealous, but you're also very needy. Like, you always want me around, you need to know I'm close. Because obviously she disappears and he starts screaming, and then yeah. At At 32 minutes, I had to pause the film and I had to ask, what the heck is going on? Obviously, I told you guys I didn't watch the trailer, so I'm just seeing hella shouting. I said, we're 32 minutes in and you guys haven't done anything but argue. And I feel like as the film went on, it was almost like a seesaw. So sometimes I was on Marie's side, sometimes I was on Malcolm's side. The second argument, I was on Malcolm's side because you've argued, okay? So they had the first argument where she said she's upset that he didn't shout her out. Now, you've come back with more. You're still upset about that, but you already said it was fine and you already said that the argument is over. It's like, to me, it was almost like, babes, forgive him or don't forgive him. Pick one and get over it. It's just like, I hear it. I hear the pain. Like, as the film goes on, I begin to understand more, like, why it hurts so much that he didn't shout her out. But at this point, to me, it's like, okay, he didn't shout you out, so, like, let's move on. Let's keep, like, let this go. But also a big thought that I had was, high key, if this is the way that you and your partner talk to each other in a relationship, it's a little bit leave it. Like, it's actually a little bit leave it. You need to leave it alone. I genuinely believe that the reason why human relationships struggle so much, the root of a lot of the breakdown of relationships, is a lack of communication. Like, you need to be able to communicate how you feel at the time and not let it bubble up over, but your communication shouldn't be verbal abuse. And I think that's what we saw so much with these two. Like, they just continue to pick at each other, and it's like, that is not what love is, and that is not what love should be. And I think they both also haven't quite grasped the idea that being in a relationship is not keeping tally. You can't say, okay, you've done this well, you did this badly, weigh it up, I'm gonna compare it to how I've acted to you. Like, baby, what the heck is this? Like, honestly, I know I'm saying what the heck is this so much, but throughout the film, I was like, what the heck is this? I will say it again. If this is what you lovers are calling love, you couples, you relationships, it's a little bit leave it. You guys need to hold it there because I'm not interested. What? Obviously, this is an example of a highly toxic relationship. But yeah, it's just strange to me how much they keep tally. Like, Malcom is kind of talking about, I took you to rehab, I looked after you, I did this, I did that. Marie's like, without me, your film wouldn't have been what it is. And it's almost like, what? Like, why are you keeping score? Like, you keep talking about unconditional love, but if it was unconditional, that kind of like comparison of what I've given versus what you've given, it doesn't work. It kind of reminds me of this tweet I saw on Twitter where this guy was like keeping a score of all the things that he bought his girlfriend, all the things that he'd done. Like, that's a madness to me. Like, that is actually a madness to me. I think the line that got me the most was where Malcom was like, Marie, you want to hurt me, but I promise you I can hurt you 10 times more. I said, are we at war? What is this? But I guess what you have to understand is that the film is trying to illustrate there is a very thin line between love and hate. And they do it very well because it's like, why I can see that they've been through so much with each other, they love each other so much. It was clear to me from that 32-minute mark, one of you needs to exit this relationship because it's not working the way you think it's working. It's not giving what you think it's giving, boo. I think that scene in the bathtub where he says that line about, I'll hurt you 10 times worse, that scene to me was chilling. Like, he sat there, eviscerated her with his words, and then turned around and said, babe, I don't need you, I love you, and that's something that you can't fathom. I said, Marie, you're a better woman than me, because I would have got out of that bath, put on some joggers and ordered myself a cab, because the audacity of you to sit there and chat to me that way, all the things he said he did, he basically was like, yeah, I've been in love with this person, this person, this person. It's like, okay, like, I honestly did not ask you. And I even have a question out there for you guys. I have a question. Do people actually sit there, let somebody have the audacity and the nerve to come and insult you that way? You just sit there, you sit silently, because honestly, I could never. Pride would never allow me to do such a thing. I would have interrupted you. This speech that you've written for yourself so beautifully, you're only ever going to get to rehearse it in your head because it would not be me that you'd be saying it to uninterrupted. And that, my love, is on period. I feel like Malcolm's anger is just so exhausting. At times it was funny because it was honestly like, babe, you're having a temper tantrum right now and I don't really understand what's going on. When he went outside and started acting like something was going on, I said, is it drugs? Because I said, is it drugs? Because what are you doing? Not even just the screaming and the consistent playing of music to express words that you can use your mouth to say. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I will say, I think Zendaya and John did really, really well. Like, there was a lot of chemistry between the two of them. Like, I believed it. It was annoying me more because it was like, I honestly believed it. I felt like I was watching a relationship of a friend play out. And I was literally just like, both of you need to exit stage left, because this honestly doesn't make a shred of sense. I think something else that was really interesting to me is just like the communication that they had. Like at first I was very much like, oh, Malcom's such an idiot. Why is Malcom talking to her like this? But Marie also has her issues, and I think that was something that was really beautiful. Something that was weird though, or not weird, but something that was interesting is the fact that like a lot of these arguments started with Marie expressing her feelings. And I feel like in a relationship, if you can't express your feelings without your partner like going off the handle, somehow I don't think that's where you're supposed to be. Like I want to be respectful, but I just feel like somehow I don't think that's where it's supposed to be, because how are you ever supposed to express yourself? How are you guys ever supposed to like get better? And that's obviously something that Marie talks about towards the end of the film. So let's talk a bit about the argument that they had. The argument, it was a series of arguments, honestly. So let's talk about the argument where she kind of talks about how she loves him unconditionally, but he's like stagnant. He doesn't move. He doesn't appreciate her. And he's very egotistical. He doesn't have that desire to be a better partner or a better filmmaker. So it was interesting to me, because my first thought based off like, I guess, learnt behavior was like, you shouldn't really be expecting your partner to thank you for every little thing you've done, because she literally listed out every single thing that she's ever done for this guy. And I was like, it's interesting that you want thanks for all that. Well, it's not interesting that you want thanks for that, but it's like, why would you expect somebody to thank you for loving them? Like, when we got into this relationship, like, surely that's the basis of a relationship. Like, I agree to love you, you agree to love me. I don't necessarily need to thank you for that. But that's very idealistic. I understand that now. It's like, there's gonna come a point where you feel undervalued, underappreciated, and it costs your partner nothing to like appreciate you for the things that you've done and everything that you do put into this relationship, and acknowledge that, yo, like, a lot of the time I don't feel like doing what you want me to do, but I do it anyway because I love you. So I hear it. I feel like I would give this film a heavy 6 out of 10, like a strong 6 out of 10, because whilst it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea and something that I would necessarily like gravitate towards on a normal day, if I'd watched the trailer, I don't know if I would have watched the film. But I feel like I love the acting. I love the fact that this relationship that they have, although very toxic, it does represent real life. I feel like in Hollywood, we get a lot of films that are very like fairy tales, very fake. Yeah, your man's gonna sacrifice everything you want. Your girl's gonna do whatever you say. And it's like, no, that's not how relationships work all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, people have to make sacrifices. So I appreciated that realism. Like, if you know me, I am an avid, what's the word when you're not a supporter? Oh my God, my mind's gone blank. What is that word when you're not a supporter? Okay. I'm just really, really against, I'm not against fairy tales, and obviously I think kids should be shown them, but I'm just against this portrayal of like happy wife, happy life, because it just leads to like toxic relationships and people being really unhappy. And I think like we need more representation of what a real relationship looks like, so that people from a young age don't have these stupid expectations that can never be met. Yeah, I know something that people are talking about that's really interesting to me is that obviously the person who wrote this, his name's Sam Levinson. I was under the impression that Sam was black. Sam is in fact white, which is really interesting, because obviously the film explores the criticism of his film and like the criticism he's faced in the past, and like what happens at his review, but through the lens of a black filmmaker. So it's interesting that like not everything is about race. Like, that is like really tried to be drummed in. Like, it's not about race, it's just the story that I chose to tell. So I don't know how I feel about the fact that he's white. Like, I'm not mad at it, but it's just like, okay, this is definitely not, this is interesting. That's honestly, that's the only way I could like, it's just interesting. But yeah, I thought I'd throw that in. So yeah, that was my thoughts. Like I said, heavy 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I would recommend to a friend. You guys let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. If you didn't like the video, go ahead and leave me a dislike, and I'll see you guys next week Sunday. Bye.